Good to go?
Good to go.
Awesome. What's up, FBE? My name is Danny, and this is my story. I didn't grow up in church. My parents never brought me to church. I didn't go to VBS. I didn't know all the Bible stories. I didn't know who Jesus was, God was. I didn't know the importance of church. Really up until my high school career. And my freshman year of high school, starting off high school, I lived a pretty sinful lifestyle, in and out of parties, in and out of relationships, and just really not sure what to do with my life. Then my junior year of high school, I got invited to this church here at FBE by a friend of mine to be a part of the youth group. That was the moment that I met Nick Acker, who was the youth pastor at the time. And he was just really faithful in showing me who Jesus is, showing me the gospel, and really showing our entire student ministry what that is all about. And there was a Wednesday night, the summer of 2006, where I realized my need for Jesus. And it was actually in a classroom upstairs that I gave my life to the Lord, led by Nick. And it was just an amazing moment. And I got baptized here at this church. So I love FBE. It's a huge part of my story. This is where I started my journey, my walk with Christ. And so kind of going on from there, I knew that I wanted to serve in the ministry and serve in some sort of way. I didn't know what that looked like. And my first reaction and my first thought was to work at Camp Zephyr. That's where Nick had taken us for youth camp, and so I loved the place already. And I just knew that I wanted to be a part of the Zephyr family and work there. So I applied, got the job, and spent a couple of summers working out at Camp Zephyr, and ended up spending also some time working out there full time, where I actually lived on camp. Zephyr for me is a place that forever changed my life. It's kind of where I got a deeper understanding and a deeper knowledge of who God is, spent a lot of moments with God out there, and really shaped and developed my walk and my faith in Christ. Also, Zephyr changed my life in a huge way, because that is where I met my wife, Summer. We worked out there together, became friends, and I knew that I wanted to be with her, and gladly she wanted to be with me too. We ended up getting married, and it was an amazing part. So Zephyr really changed my life. While I was working at Zephyr, there was one night, I was a college kid trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. And I remember just staying up at night and thinking that deep question, what do I want to do with my life? And I had committed to reading the Bible every single night before I go to bed when I was working at Zephyr. And I came across a passage, Hebrews chapter 6, verse 1, which says, "Therefore let us leave the elementary doctrine of Christ and pursue on towards maturity." And I really feel like God stopped me in that moment and really told me in a huge way, I want you to pursue a deeper knowledge of who I am. And the only way I knew how to do that was to pursue a degree in biblical studies. So there's a school out in Corpus Christi called the South Texas School of Christian Studies. I had heard about that school, so I applied to it, got accepted, and so I began my journey at biblical studies. And a really awesome part of that was Colin as well began that journey with me, so we got to start that journey together, and it was a really awesome moment for us. So I was working at Zephyr and also going to school and kind of doing these things. I really felt like God was moving in a huge direction. And then while I was at Zephyr going to school, I met a guy by the name of Chris Dupree. He had become a local pastor of a local church in the area around Zephyr, about 30 minutes down the road. And in that moment, Chris challenged me to help out the student ministry of Awadousa Baptist Church. And so I said, sure, why not? Sounds like a fun time. So I ended up helping him, and I ended up actually spending about 3 years of my life serving at Awadousa Baptist Church as a student minister. And so I really loved and enjoyed that part. And then from there, about 2 years ago, I got a call and an interview to be a student pastor at BT McAllen. And really during that whole process, the thought of that scared the life out of me because I had this really this feeling of not wanting to move back to the Valley, not wanting to move back to Edinburgh or to McAllen, because for me, being from the Valley, I had this desire to move north, to go to San Antonio, go to Austin, go to Dallas, just really get out of the Valley. And I think when I see the culture of the people here in the Valley, especially within the student ministry, a lot of people have that culture of wanting to get out. And I know that because I had that same mindset as well. So in that moment, whenever I got the call to be a part of BT, I was just like, I don't want to do that. It scared the life out of me. But I knew this is what God was calling me to do. So about 2 years ago, accepted the position to be the high school student pastor here at BT. And I've just been loving every part of it. My wife and I just really love being a part of the student ministry culture here. I get to minister to students who really have a similar story to what I had as well when I was in high school. I love doing that. And so here's what I want to say to you guys, to FBE, as it relates to my story. My journey started here at FBE, where someone and a group of people, a group of men just really grabbed hold of me and showed me who Jesus was, discipled me in a huge way. And really what I love about FBE is because this was the start of my walk with Christ, and also this was the place where it really affirmed me in what God wanted me to do. And so I remember the moment when I made the decision to pursue biblical studies. I came into a room with Jonathan Esau and a couple other men, and I thought they were going to question me about my theology or question me about my knowledge of Jesus and knowledge of the church. And I was just going to be like, I don't know, that's why I want to go to school, right? But in that moment, all they wanted to do was pray for me and affirm me in that call. And I had guys like Colin and Nick and David Rodriguez and a bunch of other guys in this church who really helped me in figuring out what that call was going to look like for me. And so what I want to challenge you guys here at FBE is I know that there's a bunch of students walking around the halls of this church who are struggling with the same thing, trying to figure out what to do with their lives. And so what I want to challenge you to do, FBE, is grab a hold of those students the way people at this church grabbed a hold of me, push them towards Jesus, show them who Jesus is, and help them figure out those questions, because I know that God has huge plans for them, and He has huge plans for this church, and figuring out what you guys are going to do here in the Valley, here in Edinburgh, for the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's a little bit of my story. I love FBE. I'm praying for you guys continuously, and I just hope that you guys continue the work of the ministry that God's calling you to go after. Love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.